What's going on, world? DS1 Ross. We back here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Sheep Stay Sleep TV podcast, of course. As y'all can see in the title, back with my brother Haven Bullets. And we just here to chop it up, family. We just here to have a decent, real, practical conversation. Because that's what black men need to do. We need to have civil, real conversations. We don't need to get all off in the theory. We don't need to get caught up in philosophizing ideas and keeping shit in our heads, man. We gotta start applying shit and putting things in the real time. And that's the conversations that we need to be having as black men. Having real talk. A lot of us say we real and this is real talk and all of that, but a lot of it don't be real talk. A lot of it just be a lot of hyper bullshit, shit that tickle people fancies and all of that type of shit. So I'm back with a 100 brother, man. I got a lot of respect for this brother. He keeps it 100. He keeps it real. You know what I'm saying? He don't hold nothing back. And he let it be known what it is. So shout out to my man Javen Bullets. What's going on, bro?
Peace, DS1. Peace to the family. Peace to the whole chat. I would like to say I'd like to thank DS1 for having me back on and Sheep Stay Sleep TV. This is a good thing. I like this. This is a brother I can have real talk, real conversations with, and we can just let it flow. And we don't have to get all into, like he said, all into the abstract, all this other crazy philosophizing, idealist stuff that's not practical in the real world that nobody can't use. We can just talk real shit, and be regular. I'm happy I'm here, and peace to the whole chat.
That's a fact, bro. That's a fact. So I'm gonna start off with a question. Um, how do you feel about the Sinetta TV Awards? I'm gonna just ask you about this because a lot of people been talking about it. It's coming up kind of soon. So how you feel, about that whole thing?
I just feel like this. I just like this. I don't fuck with it. I already showed everybody all the information that you would ever need to know to not fuck with it. And I just put it like this. The conscious community has gone to shit. Ain't no standards, ain't no nothing. And this is why people can't get nothing done. And this is why if you want to actually get something done, you gotta distance yourself from all this conscious anything. I'm not saying that every piece of information you ever heard from there is garbage. You got to throw it away. But just as far as this whole atmosphere, you got to distance yourself from it because it's just straight up and down sucker shit. And somebody could do sucker shit right in your face, and everybody feel like they can let that ride, and then somebody else do the same thing. It's the end of the world. It's like, come on now, how much more people gonna see? How much more people going to allow to be celebrating and all this other corny stiff shit about nothing? It's like, I don't want to be like a broken record because people done said this before, and I don't believe that you got to win the total victory before you can celebrate or honor somebody who need to be honored. But come on, man. Let's be serious with this whole, we having an award show. Award show for what? Like, first of all, this whole award show is is bullshit because it should have been just one big ass award show, but because people can't get along and want to snake each other and stab each other in the back, we even gotta have two award shows. Because it should have just been the Black Power Awards, and if we're gonna have an awards, that's it. But it's not that because you got them niggas who was doing something funny, moving funny style. And now you got Sinetta, who he could have did the award show to been righteous, but now it's not righteous, and he doing some funny style shit. So it's like, I'm not fucking with the award show. I was going to get it shut down, but I say, you know what? I got something better than that and plan for it. Like, I got something better than that. I'm not gonna shut it down. I'm gonna let the people live. Because if I try to shut it down, or I actually get it shut down, I'm gonna look like the bad guy, and he's gonna look like the good guy when he's not a good guy. I already explained to people how this whole award show was even going down and why it was even going down for. But it's like, that's all I got to say about that. Like, yo, if you support the award show, then it's your life, it's your money. You do what you do. Just know that if it ain't what you thought it was, just know that nobody can play the game that nobody had put the information out there about what the real was.
Exactly, bro. And I feel the same way, man. I feel the same way. Sheep stay sleep, dog. You know what I'm saying? If these people want to continue to basically submit themselves to nothing and personality worship and all that, let them do it, man. Because at the end of the day, man, every sheep need a shepherd. You know what I'm saying? So I feel the same way, bro. It comes a time when you can't keep blaming the motherfuckers, who's victimizing people. You got to blame the victim at some point. Because I noticed, a thing that goes on in this quote unquote conscious community is everybody likes to play the victim. Everybody likes to say, whoa, look what they doing to us. Look what they doing to me. But you keep putting yourself back in that same predicament to be victimized. So there's a lot of victimhood going on. And they keep putting themselves in the same shit to turn around and talk against the shit that they was just a part of. So I agree with you too, man. You just gotta let the sheep get slaughtered, bro.
And like this, that the old saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, you not like it's one, anybody could get tricked one time. Anybody could get tricked one time. But if you keep getting tricked, you can't cry. You can't blame nobody else. How many times you gonna fall for the same okie doke from the same people? Most con artists can only con people once, and then they gotta move on. They can't stay in that same location because everybody already found out that it's a con, and they're not gonna fall for it again. But if y'all gonna keep letting people keep conning y'all with the same old, then y'all can't cry about it. No more crying. And if you're gonna cry, that's fine, but just don't cry to me about it. It's like I said before with the dude who got scammed out of $50,000 by Polite. I said, first of all, this is old. He got that money went missing like a year or two ago. Second of all, this nigga watched Polite scam 1 million people, and then when he scammed you want to cry victim. You already knew what it was with Polite. You thought you were special, and you got suckered, and that was the end of you.
Facts. So you was on Megalodon shit earlier, man. It was kind of chaotic, you know what I'm saying? Give us your thoughts on that, and say anything that you couldn't say, because I know a lot of times I saw you going on mute and shit because you wasn't really able to get your shit off. So get your shit off, bro.
I'll say this about the Moorish thing that I wanted to get off. The whole thing is, I'll say shout out to Megalodon for having me. But the whole thing I gotta say about the whole, situation with the Moorish stuff, the information is fake, family. I'm not talking about the religious aspect. If you want to believe in Noble Jali and the 7 Quran, you do you. I ain't got no problem with that. But all that paperwork shit, that shit is fake, beloved. Do not fall for it. That's why I got those videos up like that, to show people this is what happened when people try to actually take all that highfalutincy that sound good in theory and they try to put it into practice. They go to jail. They get their windows smashed. They get evicted. They get their kids taken away. They get locked up. They get killed. How many black people dead? To the point where, like, of all the groups in the quote unquote conscious community, the only one that's actually considered actual terrorists really is the Moors, because so many people have died behind that Moorish doctrine, thinking that thinking that it's real and thinking that the police, when they telling you need a driver's license, is trying to do something illegal to them. So they trying to fight with police. They trying to shoot police, kill police based on a fictitious document because they think it's real. They doing all this wrong. They bringing attention to themselves. They going to jail. Like I said on the thing, I'm looking for the video now and I can't find it. I think a lot of my Morris videos got deleted. I don't know who did that, but I got a video with a brother going to jail for 50 years because he's in court talking about he's an indigenous Moorish American and refusing to acknowledge the court, do anything in the courtroom, and took it to trial when he was obviously guilty. They was giving him like a baby amount of time, letting him off easy. He just kept pushing the I'm indigenous, I don't respect the authority of this court, and they ended up getting 50 years, man. 50 years in prison. The brother life over, gone. If he ever do get out, everybody he ever knew will be dead. Or he will have forgotten them, or they will have forgotten him. Everything over because he's following behind some paperwork that somebody gave him. That shit is dangerous. And to the Moors who try to make it seem like when T-Duck was talking about like, well, it ain't all like that and people need to do their research. You can't ask people. That's why I gave the gang analogy. If I see you repping, throwing up, wearing these colors, and I see a bunch of niggas around you wearing those colors and they raping women, molesting children and all that other fuck shit, and I see you and I know you know that they doing this, and I'm telling you they doing this, and you still standing behind them, throwing it up, and y'all repping, y'all piecing them, and every time they get into something, you shoulder to shoulder with them, I'm going to say you stand for that too. And you can't say, well, you don't know what the gang really stand for. You got to join and know all the... Nah, none of that. We see what y'all stand for. Because we watch everybody stand shoulder to shoulder with these Moors. That's why when people say Moor in the conscious community, they think paperwork. Because how many times have we seen Moors go on every platform in the community with that paperwork, and everybody is Islaming it up. Nobody is confronting them. I only see one more ever try to confront somebody with the paperwork, and that was Lord Alva. And that's why I gave him mad props. But he's pseudo as hell also. But at least his pseudo-ness ain't getting nobody killed or getting nobody locked up. So I don't really got too much smoke with him.
I feel you, bro. I feel you, man. And that's why I really don't debate people and their ideologies, man, because people become zealots. And people always talk about religion, but anything can be your religion. Your religion could be smoking weed. Your religion could be eating junk food. Because religion is just something you keep practicing over and over and over.
Without question or without thinking.
Right. So that's all these dudes are doing. They using these groups and these ideologies as a form of religion. This is why when we talk about them, they get out of control and they get out of character. Because this is their religion, but they want to talk about Christians.
But you're right. That is the crazy part is all these little groups in the conscious community are religious groups, but they try to play semantics like we not a religious group. Y'all a religious group. Y'all painted yourself into the corner because y'all bash religion all day, and then y'all turn around and we see that you are religion. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a registered religion. It's a registered religion. Like, come on now. Like, y'all could play the whole we not a religion game, but y'all religion, man. Y'all religion. Y'all religion. All y'all, like every group is a religion. Like Kemetic shit that be talking with the meta netta, that's a religion. The Hebrew Israelites, Noble Jew, the Moors, all this shit is religion. All of it. All of it. It's like y'all try to bash another religion while trying to get somebody to follow your religion while claiming it's not a religion. While claiming it's not a religion. That shit is corny to me. And that's why it hurt me. And that's why I do what I do, because that's why I'm so laser focused on them, because of all groups. The other groups that they might be pseudo and they teach shit that I don't agree with. But at the end of the day, It's either you believe it or you don't, and they not telling you to go out there and commit no crimes that could get you locked up for some bullshit, get you thrown in jail for some bullshit, taken away from your family, losing your one and only life on this earth for some paperwork that was fake that somebody made up. Like the other videos I uploaded the other brother. He got 5 years in prison talking about a Zodiac constitution.
And you know what's crazy? And I noticed you brought this up earlier too. Why do they consider Moors to be black? If y'all are considered black identity extremists, then it shows that the government consider y'all to be niggas.
And your paperwork is bullshit. Because like I said, like all you got to do is get down to the nitty gritty. Like if you read the Black Identity Extremist report, like damn near 60% of the report is just about the Moors. They talk about Noble Drew Ali in it and everything. It's like, so y'all could play that game with y'all playing that highfalutin bullshit game with yourself, especially with that corny ass black shit that they try to claim, well, we not black, whatever the case may be. Like, listen, I know y'all doctrine. I know Noble Drew Ali got things wrong. That's why y'all have changed it. Like, I read the Moorish 101s. When they say, can a man, they say you can't be Negro, black, and color. But if you know the original Moorish 101s, is a man can't be Negro, black, color, or Ethiopian. But they dropped the Ethiopian. Why did they drop Ethiopian? Because we know a man can be Ethiopian because there's an Ethiopian nationality. There's an Ethiopia country that exists. Like we like I know y'all doctrine better than y'all do. Most Moors don't even know that. Most Moors never even seen the 101s. Like I know your doctrine. I read the Circle 7 Quran, and I actually get a video where I show you the chapter and chapters, because the Circle 7 Quran is the Aquarian Gospel unto the I Grant, and like the last 5 chapters is written by Noble Drew Ali. He literally took the book Aquarian Gospel and switched up the chapters. Like, so he made chapter 3, chapter 1, chapter 10, and did that. I did a whole video mapping the chapters next to each other so you know which chapter was put in which order. Like we done been through this, man. I know your doctrine in and out. Like most people don't know that. I don't speak against people unless I got the checkmate in my back pocket against you. That's why I always win. I don't come at people unless I know I got the W. I already know I got it because I done studied your ideology inside out, and I know things you don't know about it.
It just, man, I just look at this whole shit as another form of, separation, man. It's just another form of separation to keep niggas at odds, man. You know what I'm saying? And what a lot of them people don't understand is that y'all are creating separation between people that you supposed to actually get along with. And then they wonder why other nationalities or these other groups of people that exist here in America, why you think they look at niggas the way they do? Because we always find a reason to be separated. Oh, I don't fuck with you because you a Christian. I don't fuck with you because you a Muslim. I don't fuck with you because you a Catholic. All of that shit is just separation. But at the end of the day, when you look at other groups of people, they are their nationality first, then it's their religion, then it's their sex. But we put all that shit first. Instead of us being black first, we want to be Moors first. We want to be Christians first. What happened to we all sharing the same thing first? Let's find a commonality first. We could get to the other shit later. Because guess what? Just because you're a Moor and I may be what I be, why shouldn't we work together? All Chinese people, a lot of Chinese are Christian. A lot of Japanese are Christian. A lot of Africans are Christian. But that don't stop them from working with each other. That's not going to stop that African man who go to church against the other African man who's a Muslim. That's not going to stop that Muslim brother from saying, yeah, you need more socks in your store? Come down here. I'll give you 20 packs and you pay me the money next week. That's not stopping that. But see, we don't see that.
You know what it is? People do see that. It's just that they can't make their money if people see that. If they let the sheeple, I don't like to use that word, but if they let their sheep that follow them see that, then they can't really make their money no more. Because when people got to get down to the end, at the end of the day, is that all that shit is your personal business. That shit don't mean nothing. That don't stop nobody from working together. It never stopped nobody from working together. All the people you claiming to be, they work together with other people, and they didn't let that stop them. Like I did what I brought up. What about Noble Drew Ali? And I said, did Noble Drew Ali say Merry Christmas? He said Merry Christmas. He used to take money from the Moral Science Temple of America and buy Christmas gifts for the whole community and pass them out and say Merry Christmas. And he was doing that to people who was calling themselves Negroes. When he said not to call yourself Negro and give the white man back his religion, Christianity. But he knew everybody wasn't going to do that. And he still found the way to have some level of solidarity with his people, to be at peace with his people, to stop being so antagonistic with his own people. It's the same thing with all these ideologies and doctrines when you trace it back to its root. Like with the Hebrew shit. The Hebrew shit was the original Hebrew Israelite movement as we know it today was started by an African. And it was called the Ethiopian Israelites. And he was a Pan-Africanist. He was fucking with Marcus Garvey. He told us that we was Israelites and people was jacking the Israelite identity, but they didn't let that stop them from working with the next black person next to them that didn't call themselves a Hebrew Israelite or might be from Africa, because they understood we all black at the end of the day, and we could unify around that because we got a people who trying to kill us and oppress us who have unified around being white. So we got to unify or we gonna get slaughtered, because we could be unified as blackness but keep our own little individual identities to ourselves and among our communities, where we could still be unified as blackness, or we could stay our own little groups and not fuck with each other and get picked off one by one by one. That's the difference between then and now. This is why you can have big movements back then, because people didn't let little shit like you believe in Jesus, I believe in Allah, you don't believe in nothing, you believe in the tooth fairy, stop people from working together. Like that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. What do you having to believe in Jesus got to do with me believing in Allah, and we trying to work together to keep from getting slaughtered by a group of people who ain't asking us what we believe? They only see how we look, and they trying to bang on us for how we look. What does that have to do with anything? Niggas know that because you go to work every day and put that to the side. People go to work every day. You never once ask your employer, is he a Christian? You never ask your coworker, are they a Buddhist? And you say, oh, well, you this or you that, I can't work with you. You go to work to get something done so you can get your paycheck and you go home and you live your life at home. When you at work, you do your job. When you get off, you live your life and you ain't thinking about work and you ain't worrying about what the next man doing. And why can't it could be the same way with building. When you're building, you're just worrying about building. And when you're not building and you're in your church and you're worrying about Jesus or whatever, you're in your mosque, you're worrying about Allah, you're in your temple, you're worried about Buddha, or you just at home and you ain't worried about nothing. Because at the end of the day, none of that gets in the way of people actually working together and getting something done.
Exactly. But see, one thing I notice about this quote unquote conscious community is that people make money off division. But then we always like to reference the quote unquote white man for being the one who believes in dividing and conquering, but we turn around and do it to each other all the time.
Yeah, because you got a handful of people who do it because they profit off it, and the people allow them to do it. This is not, like I said, this is the year 2018. Everybody know what is what. Everybody know who is who. You're not new to this. You're not a little kid who just happened to turn on your computer one day and see a video and you think it's something else that it's not. You know what it is. Most people been around in the conscious community, been around longer than me. This is my third year making videos. I only been watching the conscious community on videos a year before that. So this is like my fourth year being involved, and I already know this thing like the back of my hand already. So it's no excuse for somebody who be like, "Oh, I was a part of the conscious community for 14 years," to act like they don't know what it is and to keep falling for the same thing. Like, brother, why we can't have unity? Like, niggas know why you can't have unity. You know why? Because the people who supposed to be quote unquote leaders are dividing people. Unity comes from leadership.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I believe these niggas is afraid to unify. Because at the end of the day, a lot of these people got ego problems. And they feel like if they do unify with another brother may get more than him. Another brother may have more prestige than him. And this is why they keep the confusion and the dissension going on, so they could look like they're reigning over other people. It's all a pissing contest, bro. That's what all of this shit is. It's a bunch of posturing and you trying to look better than the next man. And to me, that's corny at the end of the day. Like I've been dealing with the conscious community for years before it got on YouTube. I'm from New York. I used to go to lectures at LIU. I've been to multiple lectures. I know Brother Rich personally. When I was in college, I used to go to his DVD stand downtown Brooklyn every day and chop it up with Rich before he was on YouTube. You see what I'm saying? A lot of these dudes, they never actually been around these people. They never actually participated in anything. You think because you sub to a YouTube channel and listen to people talk and all this shit that you know something, or you really know these people? You haven't been around these people. You see what I'm saying? And back then, the information was pure. You had and see back then, just to go back to the Morris shit, back then they were saying that the paperwork was bullshit. Because that's when I first heard about the Moorish paperwork. I heard that shit back in like 2007 when I used to go to lectures at LIU. And they had the sister there selling the paperwork. They were selling paperwork for like $5,000, bro. $5,000 to be sovereign. This is what they used to say. You got to buy this paperwork to be sovereign. And a lot of these people believe in this shit because at the end of the day, they feel like they shouldn't have to work for nothing in life. Motherfuckers want a free ride. That's like the person you had on your channel. This dude was sitting there talking this Morris shit because he didn't have money to pay to get on a train. So now this is your land because you don't have money to pay to get on a train? Like, dude, you got to pay to get on a train. What the fuck? Why would you risk your life because you ain't got money to pay to get on a train? Just walk wherever you got to go. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what this stuff seemed like to me, bro. People looking for a free ride. Oh, I don't have to have a driver's license. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. Says who?
You're right. You're right. There's a lot of things, and that's why another reason why I'm so on these niggas' asses, because they playing on people's desperation. A lot of these people are broke, dead broke, poor, and they can't make it, and they just they looking for a way out, and you selling them basically some magical bullshit. Like, listen, you give me your last $1,000, I give you paperwork, and you ain't got to worry about your rent no more. You ain't got to worry about registering your vehicle. You ain't got to worry about toll booths. You ain't got to worry about this. You ain't got to worry about that. And then people do it. And then they get the harsh reality that you done fucked yourself up even more. I know people. I got videos coming, and I know people who done been made homeless, like literally homeless. Stop paying their rent. Talking about, I ain't paying my rent. I'm sorry, and I claim this and this and that. And then they getting escorted out their apartment with their children, and now they ain't got nowhere to go, and they calling the people who sent them the paperwork, asking them for help, and the motherfuckers ain't picking up the phone. They done switched their numbers already. They done did this. They done did that. People sitting in jail, not going to parole because somebody told them that you ain't got to go to parole no more. Now, next thing you know, Instead of doing what you know you got to do, next thing you know, you're doing 9 years in prison now. Damn near a fucking decade. Sitting around because somebody gave you some bullshit ass paperwork. Sitting around. And it's like, come on now. People gotta stop understanding. It ain't nothing for there ain't something for nothing. And second, on top of that, I don't understand how could somebody who lived in America their whole life, been a black person in America their whole life and know the history of America, believe that by getting some paperwork that's gonna somehow protect you from everything that you have seen our people go through for the last 400 years.
I'm trying. And see, one thing we got to understand too is that a lot of people say that, you know, America is not we don't live in America. We live in the United States of America, which is a corporation. So we are under their guidelines, man. We're under their guidelines. This is the US of A. So we're under their guidelines, period. Point blank, period. So people just got to stop being so delusional, live in the real world and participate in the real world. You can't get on a train for free, dog. I don't give a fuck what you may believe. You can't get on a train for free. You cannot operate a vehicle without a license. Period. You could say you're traveling. Oh, I'm not conducting business. You could say all of that. But when the police pull you over and they ask you for your license and you don't have one and you start talking that dumb shit, they're going to lock you up. And if you resist, 9 out of 10, they might kill you. So let's get out of the theories and let's be real with ourselves. Are you ready to be murdered by the police because you think that you're sovereign? Are you ready for that? Come on. Let's be practical and pragmatic and stop being theorists. Let's be practical and let's be pragmatic. Let's deal with the issues directly and deal with them hands-on. You could believe whatever you want, but what's actual, like True TV, it's not reality, it's actuality. The actual thing that's going to happen is they're going to pull you out your car. They're going to tell you, put your hands behind your back, and you're going to jail. And if you resist, they're going to beat you half to death, or they might kill you. That's just what's going to happen. That's just what's going to happen. And that's how we need to start dealing with issues. The black people are never going to get nowhere if we don't start being real with ourselves. We got to start being real. Period. That's just what it is. We got to start being real. We could keep our, we could keep our ideals in our mind. But when you go outside and them police shoot your ass 30 times, that's real, homie. That's not fake. When they throw you to the ground and start pounding on you, that's real. Dude, don't think you're going to take them to court and represent yourself and win. You better have some money for a lawyer, because then you won't get no money. They tell you to get out the courtroom. That's real. All the people who got murdered by the police and they family won settlements, they had to get lawyers. They didn't go into court and represent themselves. They didn't do that. They went and got lawyers and they got paid. So let's start being real here. Come on, man. Let's get out of this fantasy world. Come on. We too old for that shit. We too old for that. We too old to be acting like we somebody we not. Come on. That's for children. Children have time to think that they living in an alternate reality. That's for kids, man. That's not for grown-ups. So we need to teach our children that they could go out and drive a car without a license. Should we teach our children that? Should we do that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the crazy part, I was just thinking while you was talking that it hit me, but I've been through this. But most of these ideologies that people be selling each other was started as racist white ideologies against black people. That whole sovereignty, I don't got to listen to the law thingy is about shitting on black people. It's about white racists saying they don't respect the law. Like when you go back to that they say, oh, black people are not citizens. When black people say they're not citizens, who are you quoting? You parroted a white racist. That's another thing that get me about this conscious community. A lot of the information that people be trying to put out and they try to sound deep, they get it from white racist sources. White racist sources, man. That should be killing me. It be killing me. And they be saying shit trying to sound cool in front of white racists. That shit be killing me. Be killing me, man. Like with the like I said, I wanted to touch on this, but like with the whole slavery is a choice thingy. That's like that shit is like that's something that racist whites used to say in the South to try to justify slavery.
Exactly.
Like the crazy part is I was literally just reading my book today. It's called The Wars of Reconstruction. It's a good book. I just literally read a part where they was quoting a white woman in the South talking about if slavery, the slaves got basically trying to say that slavery is a choice and that the slaves choose to be slaves because slavery is good for them.
Man, I know I know slavery is real because all I gotta go is back 3 generations in my family and there's slavery pops up. My great grandparents were slaves. So I know what it is. My grandfather was born 1931. Come on. So, I mean, come on, man. This is what I mean by we got to deal with reality. We have to deal with reality, man. And that's what I think it is, bro. I think a lot of these people are just trying to escape reality because in reality, life is really hard, man. And we all understand that life is hard for everybody. Life is hard. So we try to find these ideologies to hide behind and to try to boost our egos and try to make us and prop ourselves up like we something we not. But look at your situation. Are those ideologies helping your situation? Is it bettering your environment where you live? If it's not doing that, then dude, what are you really talking about?
But it's like Root Word said. Remember, he said it makes people feel better to tell them that they Aboriginal, which it does, to tell somebody that you was always on this land and you was never a slave, and somehow the white man tricked y'all out the land, or y'all lost the war, and don't worry, we could get it back one day or some shit like that. Because all we got to do is go to the UN or some dumb shit like that. That does make people feel better, but it ain't reality. It's escapism. We don't need no more escapism. Because it's like people used to go to church for escapism. Now y'all watching YouTube videos about how y'all was actually the Native Americans for escapism. How about how y'all was the Moors in Spain for escapism? It's like everything is escapism. We don't need no more escapism. You're never gonna get out your predicament just trying to pretend you somebody else or trying to float your mind somewhere else. You could do something about your condition in the real world, but you just got to confront it first and be realistic about what is your condition and think of practical solutions on how to get out of it.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's like telling, man, that's crazy. We too old for feel good doctrine. We too old for that. That's like that's like telling our kids when they children, that's like telling them, oh, Santa Claus exists. We tell them that because what? We want them to feel good. But as they get older, guess what? That feel good shit is over. You 12, 13 years old now. You need to know Santa Claus is not real. Even before that, me and your mother is Santa Claus. But when you 3, 4, 5 years old, you tell your children that. Why? Because you want them to feel good. They're allowed to live in that world. They're allowed to live there. They're children. You see, it doesn't hurt them to believe in it. But as they grow older, you got to cut that string. You know, you got to kind of smash that bullshit reality in their mind. Because as they grow older, it will grow into what we see now. You see? Come on, man. We come on. We can't keep believing in Santa Claus at 35, 36 years old. Come on.
Definitely can't, because you're like, and a lot of these dudes talk about nation building. How you gonna build a nation and y'all don't even believe in DNA? How you gonna build a nation and you don't even understand the basics of history? What nation was ever built by people who don't even know, who don't know anything about history? What nation was ever built by people who reject basic science? It's like how do you reject the DNA test? How do you reject this history period? Like, all right, we started out as slaves in this country. That's cool, but that don't mean we gotta end there. We can always make things better. We can always do things for ourselves. We can always start anew. Like, you don't, when you start, you don't gotta end. And it's like what I was just reading again. When I'm going back to reading, when I'm talking about reading this book right here about Reconstruction and the Civil War and Black people reality into it, it's like, and slavery. Just to touch on that again. It's like we need to learn. This is what you need to learn. You don't need to learn about no 5,000-year-old history. Like I always say, people be better off if they learn 5,000 day old. I mean 5,000. I think I used to say 5,000 week ago history. Like if you go back 5,000 weeks, we in America. You need to know that history. So you know how that affects you today. So nobody can't tell you no bullshit and try to trick you out your spot. To tell you, one, that slavery was a choice, and they also tell you that Black people didn't try to help free themselves, which is not true. Black people freed themselves just like the Haitians freed themselves, just not as directly. Wait, hold on for a minute. There's one.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. And see what you just said is key, man. We need to deal with recent history. This is why I do the Black History Month um series on my channel. And I don't, because our children need to know what happened 50, 60 years ago. They need to know what was going on in the times of their grandparents and their great grandparents. We don't need to go back to 1623 to teach ourselves something. We need to know our recent history for us to understand what goes on now. A lot of us don't even understand that. A lot of people don't understand the freedom fighters of 50, 60 years ago.
Who
But
are
we
more
want,
important? My fault.
God, bro.
What I was gonna add, who are more important and more relevant to your life today than any pharaoh who sat on the throne. No harm intended, no subliminal dishes to the pharaohs. But it's like, or anybody else, they are relevant. So you need to learn from their mistakes so you can progress today. For example, like a lot of Black people was again promoting again racist white fiction. I mean, what I like to call racist white propaganda about how the 50s was this magical time for Black people, which it wasn't. Most black people was poor. Most black people had no access to education, no jobs, no nothing. Most black people had to worry about getting lynched. It was not some magical time because you saw a black bank here, a black bank there. These were little banks, banks that you could open today. If black people got bigger banks than that today, which most people don't understand. Like, all right, we had more banks, but they were tiny. We got if you compare the size of those banks to the banks we got today, and you compare it for inflation, our banks today are bigger. You want to go back to some fake magical time thinking like, oh, we were separate from the white man. No, we wasn't. We were segregated from the white man. Separation and segregation is two different things. Like Malcolm told you, separation is when two equals decide to go their own way. Segregation is when when a superior tells an inferior where he can and cannot go, where a superior can go anywhere he wants. Because they talk about this time like white people couldn't just come to a black neighborhood whenever they want and do whatever they want, which they did in the 50s. Black women got raped and were getting kidnapped out of black communities in the 50s, getting raped. Black people were getting, black children, black adults, black whoever were getting kidnapped to be lynched at parties, at get-togethers. White people could go into black neighborhoods and eat. White people used to go into black neighborhoods to learn how the black people made music, and then they would take the music back to their white community. There was no restriction on what white people could do with black people. There was a restriction on black people. Black people had to be at a white neighborhood before the sun went down. A white person could be in a black neighborhood at midnight. We don't want to go back to the 50s. We want to progress. If you really want to know where the trouble started, you would know that the trouble started after when the civil rights movement and the rules started to be implemented. It's not the rules. The civil rights movement wasn't bad. It was how people dropped the ball with the implementation because people got off their back. That's the real problem. If you're going to tell the truth, that a lot of people just dropped the ball during the implementation. The civil rights movement wasn't even bad. It was excellent. It gave black people a lot of freedoms and the rights that we have today. Because a lot of people brag about how much, black people got a quote unquote GDP of over $1 trillion or whatever. We got that kind of money due to the fact that we can get jobs, we can start businesses, we can do a lot of things that we can go to colleges, we can do a lot of things that we couldn't do before. And you teaching the babies that segregation was a good thing when it's not a good thing. A lot of black people starting to see now that what you was asking for, you about to get in Trump. He ain't even been president for 2 years. And he's doing things, and he got things in the work. You don't, and y'all crying about this, and y'all talking about y'all want to go back to the 50s, but y'all crying about this little bullshit.
Exactly. I totally agree. They're not even ready for that type of climate. They're not ready. They're not ready for that type of heat. They're not.
Like you're crying about police shootings every day. What you think was happening during the 50s?
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because my pops used to tell me how when he was in junior high school, one of the first junior high schools he went to, because my grandmother didn't want him to go to the junior high schools in the neighborhood. So she sent them out in New York. She sent them out towards Coney Island. And him and his friends used to get chased to the train station every day by these white boys. They used to chase them. They used to have to run and jump on the back of the bus.
Wait. I think was it junior high school 303?
I'm not sure, but it's something like that.
I had to be that one because my mother went to that same junior high school. My grandmother sent my mother to that same high school, and she told me one day how her and her friend, all the black kids would have to meet up before school was over and decide which exit they was gonna run out of to go run home because there'll be white people from the high school and from the neighborhood standing out, and the white kids from the junior high school standing out there ready to beat them up. And they used to have to run home because you have adults out there trying to beat them up and everything. And it's only, as far as I know, the junior high school she told me she went to was like pretty much the only one in a white neighborhood by Coney Island. So that's how true it is. The story you telling, my mother told me that same exact story about how she had to run home because grown white men was trying to beat her up.
Yep. They had weapons and all that.
Yeah. She said people were throwing bricks at them, bottles, everything.
Bats. All that. They used to have to run. They used to have to run all the way to the train station. And they stopped once they got that far because it was police there. That's the only thing that used to save my pops and them. You know what I'm saying? And this was in the 70s, man.
That's why I know exactly. My mother went to that same school because she used to tell me the same thing. They used to have to run and run, and they would just come out of a different exit or whatever, and they would all be all the black kids together, and they used to just run. And
telling you, man.
Like, people don't gotta like y'all not ready for that kind of climate of black kids having y'all cry when y'all see a black kid getting harassed verbally. Now imagine you had to watch YouTube videos of black children being chased home every day, being called every nigga in the book with bats and weapons. Y'all can't even deal with somebody just basically talking racism. What you gonna do when people actually practicing real hardcore racism? And again, like you said, that was the 70s. In the 50s, they would have got killed. The white people would have probably been out there with guns shooting them. Like, they wouldn't ever even gotten to school.
Yep. It's a fact, man.
That's why it always bothered me when these dudes who ain't never did nothing, never did no real research. That's why niggas hate me. Everybody watch me, but all these quote unquote content providers watch me, but they all hate me on the low because I be checking they bullshit and exposing them that they don't really know what they talking about. Because it's like you can't know what you can't be for the betterment of the people or know what you talking about when you promote that 50s shit. When you talk that slavery was a choice or black people didn't do this or didn't do that. You don't know what black people did. You don't know the condition or the environment or what was going on. Like, for example, wait, hold on for a minute. For example, like when people talk about how the Haitians, quote unquote, freed themselves, nobody talks about the Haitian Revolution, but nobody talks about the conditions that made the Haitian Revolution possible. For example, I used to do a lot of research on the Haitian Revolution. This was years ago, but I still remember some things. And I said that personally, it should be called the Haitian Wars instead of the Haitian Revolution because it was a series of wars, rebellions, civil wars, military interventions, and revolutions. Because most people don't even notice that the first revolution on the Haitian island that made it possible for the slaves to revolt was the poor whites revolting against the free people of colors and the rich whites. Because Haiti was a French colony and the French Revolution popped off. And then when the poor whites heard about the French Revolution, that popped off, which was basically rich versus poor, just to simplify it, rich versus poor, the poor whites said, this is our time to rise up. And they started fighting and killing free people of color. And they was killing rich whites. And that was what gave the slaves the opportunity to unite, to even do the Black Pig ritual, to even formulate the plans to even start killing overseers and masters and going from plantation to plantation, doing what they did. Because it's like nobody ever talks about that. Like, how did a bunch of slaves who supposed to be asleep end up having a freaking ritual up at the middle of the night doing a ritual? Where was the slave master? Where was the overseers? Where was the slave drivers? They was probably all dead, or had got chased off the plantation by poor white people, and they was somewhere else fighting. That's what opened the door for slaves to even revolt. So that's another thing what I want to touch on about how people try to make it seem like Black people in America are pussies and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. Like, you don't know the conditions which even led them to even happen. And Black people did free themselves because Black people were the ones who turned the Civil War from a war of reunification to a war of liberation. Slavery was never going to get ended. It was black people who put that on the table. Remember, the Civil War was over slavery the whole time, but it was over slavery in different ways. Like the beginning of the Civil War was over slavery because the South rebelled over slavery. If the South would have rebelled over taxes, the beginning of the war would have been over taxes. So it was about we fighting you because you rebelling over slavery. And then it became a war to end slavery because the North was losing and black people said, we will help you, but you gotta, we want to end slavery. And that's when they started doing the Emancipation Proclamation, the first one, and then they did the second one, and then they started the Contraband. I think it's the Contraband Act and all that other stuff. It was black people who turned that into a war of liberation, and you had, I think, 250,000 black people sign up for the army, and they went south and they fought the wars. They was the ones who turned the war over. Who changed the tide of the war, who did all the dying and the fight, and they went from plantation to plantation, liberating people when they wasn't even supposed to. Like the book I said I was reading is a part in the book where one of the white generals from the Union got into it with the black troops because they was just going to plantations liberating people. And some people don't know this. Every slave state didn't join the Confederacy. You had Kentucky, which was a slave state that was fighting with the Union. You had slave owners in the South who didn't have nothing to do with the Confederacy, and they were supposed to be left alone, but the black troops didn't do that. They made sure everybody was free. They did that. We freed ourselves. That was a war that black people used that opportunity of white people fighting each other to use as an opportunity to free themselves, just like the Haitians did. White people was fighting among themselves. They used that as an opportunity to free themselves. And they made deals with white people too to get guns and weapons. The first group of white people the Haitians made deals with was the Spanish, like give us guns and weapons and we'll fight for you. And then the French made them a better deal, and then they flipped on the Spanish. They had to fight the British because the British tried to take over Haiti. And it was pretty much the same thing with us. We just didn't get our own independent nation. And black people wasn't even thinking like that at the time. They didn't even want their own independent nation. They just wanted to be left alone. Some black people did, but most didn't. They just wanted to be left alone and be able to start a new life.
I'm glad you brought that point up because I did a show on my Black History Month series talking about the Harlem Hellfighters. They were a black group of soldiers
Black regiment.
Exactly. Who
and fought in World War I.
Exactly. See, I'm that's why I rock with you too, bro, because you very knowledgeable with stuff. You know your shit, man. You know your shit, and a lot of things that you bring up, you know, I connected with certain things that I've looked up too. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, you know, I really like talking with you, bro. Real shit. Because that's true, man. That's true. We was the ones fighting for America on the front line. It was us. We was the first ones to die. It was us. You know, but a lot of us, you know, tend to not understand that type of shit. And see, that's why, you know, I came up with that whole series, man. You know, like I was saying earlier, a lot of people, you know, they like to talk about the Black Panthers, but they don't talk about the Angola 3. The 3 brothers who was wrongfully accused for the murder of these police officers, and they and all of them did damn near 60 years in prison for something they was wrongfully accused of because they were black and because, you know, they were connected with Black Panther ideology. One of the brothers even died. One of the brothers even died in prison. You know, so that's recent history.
Yeah, and like I said, people can't talk about that because they don't know about that. They only could tell you about a pyramid or this what happened in Spain, and they don't even understand that deep. Because I realized that too. Like I didn't even know anything about Egypt. I probably know more about Egypt than 95% of the people who talk Egypt. 95% of the people who talk about the Moors in Spain, I probably know more about it than them. And I don't even specialize in that or nothing like that. I just actually looked it up, because all these people know how to do is go Egypt, 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 look at the walls, meta, netta. That's it. They can't tell you how Egypt military ran. They can't tell you how what was the political order of Egypt. Like, you ask them, all right, there was the pharaoh, but we know there's never just one leader. There might be the leader of leader, which is the top leader, the pharaoh, but how was it split up into how was it split up into regions? What were the name of the people who was in charge of the regions? Were they elected? Were they this? Were they that? How did their political order go? They can't tell you, but they can tell you about some incense and whatever. And to touch on that Harlem Hellfighters, the Harlem Hellfighters, when they came home from the war, they basically started the civil rights movement. Most people don't know that. They started it, and then it picked up steam again after the Second World War, and then it went into overdrive with people like Martin Luther King or whatever, till we finally got the rights. So the civil rights movement really, in its reality, in its totality, lasted about 50 years before they actually got the civil rights bill and all that other stuff passed, and they got it done. But to keep touching on the Harlem Hellfighters, they was the best military unit America had during World War I. General Pershing, who was the commander of American Expeditionary Force in World War I, sent the black troops to die. He asked the French, he asked the Allies, who's suffering the most casualties, and the French was like us. They said, we are y'all suffering the most casualties. They said, I forgot exactly what they said. They said, over here. And they said, here, you can take all our black troops, put them over there. He sent them all there to die, thinking that all the black troops was going to get slaughtered and die. But not only did they not die, they thrived. They was the best troops. They got the most success. They did it. They was fighting in the hardest areas that people thought was like, if units go in there, they get decimated and they gone. The black unit was the only unit to remain.
Facts.
Our people have tried. That's another reason why people started to fall back from military service, because black people would go, they saw military service after the Civil War as a way of, maybe we could get some rights, and we showed America that we loyal to them, because what better way to show loyalty than to fight in the war? And not only just fighting the war, but make sure you the best troops. But once people started seeing that wasn't working and that wasn't getting them where they wanted to go, by the time Vietnam rolled around, black people was basically done with the military. They was like, listen, we ain't going to fight the white man's war. We done with that. That's over. That's over. We're not going all over the world fighting this one, fighting that one for you. That's over.
Exactly, bro. And just to touch on the fact that, you said that they sent them in there to be killed. They actually sent them in there with broken rifles. They sent them in there with poor military gear and everything.
Yeah, they sent them in there to die. They gave them the worst equipment, and they sent them into the deadliest area, hoping that they would all die, which they did. And they left them on the front lines the longest. No American unit. I think no unit in the whole war stood on the front lines longer than the Harlem Hellfighters.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact, bro. So anything you want to touch on else anything else you want to touch on in particular, bro?
Oh, damn. Let me think. Yeah, I would like to touch on, like, speaking of that American thingy, I want to say this. Black people in America, we got to start valuing all our culture and all the contributions we done made to not just America, just to mankind in general. We got to value ourselves. We don't need to be looking for ourselves in some type of fake made-up ideology or nothing like that. We could just look back at our history. That's why it's so important that black people, you learn your history in America. Don't let nobody tell you ain't do nothing. We did a whole lot. We did a whole lot of greatness, and we got a lot to be proud of. We have invented virtually the first true global culture with jazz. Jazz was a culture. We invented the only true global culture right now, which is hip hop. We done did so much. We done invented so much. We done did so many things. And we got so much to be proud of. We don't need to be running behind nobody, nowhere else. We don't need to be trying to dissolve ourselves into no other group. We don't need to be trying to come up with no fake groups. We are who we are. We started from slavery, and we've been rising ever since, and we're going to continue to rise. And the only thing that can stop us from rising is ourselves. Is ourselves pretending that we got grown adults acting like they butt hurt and they about to cry because of what? Because we done went through fucked up situations. Like, we live in a superpower. We a minority, and these superpower done did everything in its power to try to crush us, try to kill us, try to hurt us, and we still here. We still here. That's an accomplishment all in itself. We need to remember that. Like, there are actual people who've been exterminated by these people, and they did try to exterminate us with all they got, but we still here. We still here. So we need to be proud of ourselves and our history. And again, I would like to congratulate you, DS1, for doing that series. I think you should even do that series, like pick a day out the week and do a new something about Black history. Don't even wait for Black History Month. Black History Month should be like the cherry on top. But like a day out the week, a new topic about something that Black people did in America.
Man, I'm glad you said that, bro, because that may be a good idea, man. If I just pick one or two people, to talk about throughout the weeks, that's a good idea, bro. That's a real good idea. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right. We definitely need to understand this. We need to understand our history. A lot of us don't even know that the whole grassroots thing came from the civil rights movement. That's where it started at. The whole word grassroots organizations started with the civil rights movement. But a lot of us like to talk shit about it. That's why I picked the people I picked too. This year I tried to focus on, more inventors. Like, a lot of people don't know about Granville T. Woods, the Black Con Edison. We don't know about him. That dude had over 100 and something patents. He the one who created the first railroad system.
I know, in New York, on the subway system.
Yeah, Granville T. Woods. He created the refrigerator, along with a whole bunch of other things, man. But we don't know about the Black Edison. We don't know, and neither do our children. And this is why I decided to do that, man.
Because we're not teaching them, and that's a very important thing to teach your children. To teach them that they somebody, they have contributed. Because best believe, all throughout their life, people gonna be trying to tell them that they ain't nobody and they ain't never did nothing, and they have nothing to be proud of. Let your kids know that we have done things. We are somebody. Like, I don't need to sound cliche, but we are somebody. And that's things that I would like to even start doing myself. Like, I starting to try to make the Javen Bullets, the knowledgeable channel, more about like educational stuff and talking about things. Like, I plan to start a new series called about debunking racist white propaganda about ourselves. Like, I was gonna start with Africans into slavery. I was gonna deal with that. Probably deal with what? Yeah, the 50s thingy, because that started with white people talking about, oh, look how great Black people had it in the 50s. Look at them now. You had all these businesses and this and that. Deal with that. Just deal with a whole bunch of things. Maybe talk about some geopolitics, for some people who care about that, because sometimes people want to talk about things outside of America. Maybe, start back with politics like I was doing before. And I just hope that I can expand some people's horizons, man. Take some requests, probably do some book reviews.
Man, that'd be awesome, bro. That'd be awesome, man, because we need knowledgeable brothers like you, man. We need that, bro. We need that. You know what I'm saying? We need that from you, man. You know, everybody know the shit you done been through and all of that, man. But I could tell, you know, that you past that, man. You ready to do something, you know, that's important. Cause I could tell you a guy that you ride for your people, man. And you come from a background where that's what it's about. You want to make your family life and their situation better. And the only way we could do that is starting by educating ourselves much more. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate the fact that, you know, you bring this type of knowledge to us, man. I really do, man. Because a lot of us just think information is knowledge. Information is not knowledge. You have to implement the information for you to know, you know, for you to say you know it. You know, a lot of us just have information. We don't have knowledge because it's not being applied. It's not, we're not testing it, you know? We just living in theory and shit that we read, and we take it verbatim, and that's why when we try to apply it to our lives, it don't work. That's why nothing manifests from it, because it's not real knowledge. It's just information. That's all it is, man. That's all it is. It's like a computer. You put information into it, but if it's not processed, it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you, bro. You want to say anything before we close out?
I would just like to say thank you for having me, and I would like to tell everybody, you know, keep supporting DS1, subscribe to all my channels, and and yeah, it's like I appreciate you. You should really do that. Like pick a black person every week or so, and just go in about them, about how about it. Don't even got to be long, like maybe even 15 minutes. You just write down some things about them. Even 5 minutes, a 5 minute video do. You know, write down some things about them, speak your speech about him, and let it be known why we should appreciate him and all the great things he did or she did, because we got great black women also who need you know, some attention, and we just go from there. And again, everybody try to be practical. Understand it. I mean, understand there's a difference between practice and theory. If somebody gonna come to you with all this highfalutin information, ask them how could you implement it. If they can't tell you how you can implement it in real life, then in a practical manner that you can actually go out and do, then it's basically worthless to you. Yeah, and that's it.
No doubt, man. I totally agree. I totally agree. So shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to all Havens channels. You know, I will get the links to it after this and put them in the description for anybody who gonna watch the playback. But y'all go subscribe to all Haven channels, man. You know, he's bringing the information to people. He's bringing practical, real life shit that we can apply. No more of the theories. He's debunking theories. And see, when you a person that debunks these people theories, they think you starting shit. He's not starting shit. What he's doing is he's trying to wake you people up. He's trying to stop the people from being sheeple. And this is why he's on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Because at the end of the day, he understands that a lot of these people, they don't want to wake up. They want to stay cool and comfortable in their slumber. So shout out to my man, Haven Bullets. Like I said, y'all go subscribe to all his channels. That's Haven Bullets 2, Haven Bullets, the No Face Killer. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to the brother, man. I appreciate everybody in the chat. I'm gonna shout out everybody in the chat real quick for coming through. Shout out to the Adjustment Bureau, my brother Suge. Shout out to the sister Sandra Brown. Shout out to Ty Brown, of course. Shout out to my sister Black Beauty. Shout out to my sister Krista Taylor. Home team. Shout out to my brother John Doe, Day One supporter. Shout out to the GOAT Guard, Sarah in the suit. Shout out to Doug, the diplomat. Shout out to Living Soul Journey. Shout out to Zeus Flippy, the Thunder God. Shout out to 118. What's good, 118? Shout out to Annette B. I appreciate you, sis. Shout out to my man God in Person TV. Peace to you, bro. Shout out to you on the check-in. I appreciate it, brother. Shout out to my man Chef JT, of course. Shout out to my brother Rob, the educator. Y'all go check out brother Rob. Shout out to my sister Char Willie. Peace to you, sis. It's great to see you on the check-in. Shout out to IC. Shout out to the brother Asar Winkler. Thanks for the check-in, brother. I appreciate you. Shout out to Mama Rika. Appreciate you on the check-in, sis. Wealth to you. Shout out to the brother Khalil Amani. Peace to you, brother. Thanks for listening and tuning in. I appreciate the support. Welcome to Gina Genesis. Welcome to Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Appreciate you for checking in, man. So like I said, man, shout out to my brother again. We definitely gonna do this again. You know, maybe in another month or two. Always like to have good conversations with good, solid brothers. We ain't gotta call each other out our names. We ain't gotta scream at each other. We could just have a civil, reality, real conversation. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to Sheep Stay Sleep TV tonight. You know, make sure y'all hit that like button if y'all here. If y'all haven't subscribed, subscribe to stay in tune with me and hit that bell. You know, and shout out to the haters as always, man. Sheep Stay Sleep TV. This is DS1 Ross, and we out. Y'all have a good night, family. Peace.